Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We have 100 brawlers in the game now, and this is tier list version 50. Technically it'll be 101, but still, that's actually pretty cool how that worked out. It's weird. It's not like I started when there were 2 brawlers in the game with version 1. So that is a little weird. How did that happen? Anyway, I don't know, but I reached out to some of the best players in the world to help me rank every single brawler in the game from worst to best. Massive thank you to them for helping out. We're gonna start off with the F tier brawlers, the brawlers that just kind of suck right now. Just keep in mind that this is on the competitive level, so like pro versus pro, or like really, really good versus really, really good. If some of these placements don't make sense to you, like the next one I'm about to say, it just means you're not at the competitive level yet. And that's completely fine. And I say that because bottom of the F tier, we're going with Edgar. Staying in the F tier. Unfortunately, Edgar still has not found a place in the meta. There are just too many brawlers that can shut him down easily, and his all-in playstyle just isn't very reliable right now, especially against man like Sirius, who can just charge charge shadows off him really easily. We'll talk about a Sirius probably a lot today. Jessie is also staying in the F tier. She remains one of the weakest control brawlers. Her turret gets destroyed almost instantly, and she struggles to keep up the pressure against a lot of the meta brawlers. Mr. P's moving from the D tier down into the F tier. Man, every single update, it feels like Mr. P just gets like slammed even harder. The time that it takes for him to charge his super just is not worth the payout anymore. Also, there are better spawners now, like Sirius. Jackie is moving from the C tier down into the F tier. She's probably the tank that got hurt the most in this change in the meta. Far better tanks have risen up in the meta, which has forced Jackie just way down. Okay, next we have the D tier brawlers. These are brawlers that are also not very good. They're just not as bad as the F tier brawlers, but you can still play them sometimes. Some places. First, we got Clancy actually moving from the F tier up into the D tier. Clancy was considerably reworked, and now he's able to level up a little bit more consistently, and it has a little bit more power before he's leveled up, but he's also slightly less powerful at level 3, and that has made him a little bit better overall. Gigi is moving from the B tier down into the D tier. She dropped quite a bit this update. The meta has become a lot less favorable for her playstyle, and there are stronger counters that are just showing up pretty much everywhere. Chuck is moving from the D tier up into the F tier. He's moving out of the F tier mostly thanks to a few map rotations that gave him some very niche value, usually pretty much just in Heist. You can play him elsewhere too, not very well. He's still very situational. Colette is moving from the C tier down to the D tier. I have no problems with this. I just don't like Colette. I don't like playing her. I don't like playing against her. She actually got some good buffs this update, but she's still not being used very much. It's still pretty early in the season, so maybe we'll see her a little bit more later on. But with spawners like Sirius being at the top of the meta, I doubt that. Miko's moving from the F tier up into the D tier. Miko climbs very slightly thanks to some better matchups appearing in the meta, but he's still almost certainly just good for Heist in some situations and drafts. Eve is moving from the C tier down into the D tier. She's actually dropping a tier. More counters to her hatchlings have become more popular, making it harder to counter her, or making it harder for her to counter other brawlers. Grom is staying in the D tier. He stays actually right where he was. His attacks are still very easy to avoid and only work in a few situations. There are some maps where he can be really annoying to play against, but even then, once you get good at playing against Grom, you can dodge his attacks pretty well. El Primo is moving from the F tier up into the D tier. While tanks are still struggling overall, some of his counters actually got nerfed, so he's doing a little bit better, but not significantly. Sam is staying in the D tier, about in the same place as he was last tier list. He still relies heavily on his hypercharge to be impactful, and charging it consistently is still really difficult for him. Rosa is moving up from the F tier to the D tier. She received a decent buff to her super, but she's still underwhelming and feeds way too much compared to the value that she offers. Okay, next we got C tier brawlers. C tier brawlers can be competitive. They're not usually like go-to picks, but there are some situations where you can play them to try and counter specific brawlers or something like that. They're not like always the best, but mostly because there are better options. Kicking off the C tier is Surge, staying in the C tier. He actually remains a very inconsistent pick. When he levels up, he can be crazy strong, but getting there reliably is still a very big problem for him. Buzz is moving from the D tier up into the C tier. He actually received several slight buffs, and it was barely enough to make him at least a little playable again, but he's not like significantly better than he was. Penny's moving from the B tier down into the C tier. Her cannon is really only good on specific maps, and she usually lacks the overall damage that she needs to keep up with this meta. I was actually expecting her to rise a little bit because she's a pretty decent counter to Sirius. However, it seems like she just doesn't have enough ammo to do enough damage consistently for her to be super great. And perhaps the pros think that there are just better counters to Sirius overall, which this is a reminder that I actually don't make this tier list at all. I have pros give feedback and a semi-pro takes their feedback and compiles it. And ever since I stopped sharing my own personal opinions is when this tier list actually got like really good. I have good advice for the casuals or the mid-cores, but for hardcores, the pros really know what they're talking about. Kit is moving from the B tier down to the C tier. He's still useful in certain comps, but overall, most supports just aren't very dominant right now. And what happened with Kit is he actually got some nerfs to his assassin type abilities and some buffs to his support type abilities. So just like not as good as you might, as he used to be at least. Hank is moving from the A tier down to the C tier. I have no problems with that actually. I don't love playing against Hank, and he's just another tank that really got hurt by the map rotation, and especially with the meta shift, the different brawlers that are just really good. He struggles against. Doug is staying in the C tier. He still provides healing value, but there are just better, safer options if you want healing. Like Jae Young. Oh wait, except no, he's moving from the B tier down to the C tier. I'm actually kind of surprised to see this because when Jae Young first released, he was just super crazy strong. And he's had some nerfs, but I haven't seen like so many nerfs that I expected him to fall down quite down to the C tier, especially because the pros really like using him a lot. But I believe that their placement is solid because they're really excellent at knowing where all the brawlers are. I guess what happens is that his burst damage is less threatening than it used to be, especially because of some of the changes in which brawlers are actually the strongest at the moment. Ooh, I'm excited about this one. Bonnie is moving up in the world. Bonnie is moving from the C tier up into the, from the D tier up into the C tier. She received a couple of buffs to her supercharge, and while she's not quite back to where she was before she got nerfed, she's definitely better than she was. Fang is staying in the C tier. Fang really dominates certain brawlers, but he's still very easy to counter in order for him to be a consistent safe choice. You would only really want to pick him as a last pick where you're going into brawlers that you know he plays well against. Lumi is moving from the B tier down to the C tier. I have no problems with that either. Interestingly enough, Lumi received a slight buff to her health, but it hasn't made a big difference for her, and there are currently several other brawlers that just do her job better than she does, which is kind of interesting because I thought that she would do really good against Sirius, but apparently she's not as strong as I thought she was. Daryl is staying in the C tier. He's still got some playmaking potential, but is generally outperformed by other close range options in the moment, and yeah, that's unfortunate for him, but that's fine with me because I love seeing fewer assassins at the top. I really, really do. I feel like it has just been an assassin meta for so long, so it's nice to see some changes, though there are still some assassins up at the top. We'll get there. Lola is staying in the C tier. She received a couple of small buffs, but it hasn't really changed very much for her. She's pretty much just as useful as she was before. Meg is staying in the C tier. She's really continued to be a situational tank counter despite a couple of buffs to her star power and gadget. Maisie is staying in the C tier. Her shots can still be difficult to land consistently against high mobility brawlers, but she's not completely awful. You got to be really skilled with, I hate facing off against a skilled Maisie. Well, I'll just say that. Pearl is staying in the C tier. She received a couple of small buffs, and she's actually another brawler that debatably could be in the B tier right now. So we decided to put her near the top of the C tier. And at the top of the C tier is Draco, moving from the B tier down into the C tier. This is unfortunate. I really liked playing Draco when he was super broken and strong. It was really a lot of fun, but he's not broken and strong anymore, right? This meta isn't very friendly to his close range play style, so he's struggling a bit. Okay, next we have the B tier brawlers. The B tier brawlers are competitive options. They're not universally good all the time, but on the right maps, on the right modes, with the right teammates, or against specific brawlers, they can really shine and play very well. And we actually have a ton of B tier brawlers, which I think is really cool and exciting. Kicking us off at the bottom of the B tier is Ziggy, staying in the B tier. Ziggy received a few buffs that made it easier for him to attack, but his attack and honestly his super are still a little too easy to avoid for him to be a top brawler. But he's pretty good right now. Griff is moving from the C tier up into the B tier. I love that. He's climbing up a tier thanks to his wall breaking ability and his high burst damage that counters some of the stronger aggressive brawlers that are still good in the meta. Nita is moving from the D tier, skipping the C tier and going up into the B tier. She's actually one of the few brawlers that received buffies this last update, and while they have made her a lot better, she still isn't broken like the other brawlers that got buffies. Kind of interesting. And yeah, man, you'd think that buffies would just immediately make a brawler S tier, but not the case for Nita. Tara is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. This is one that I have felt. Tara's become less consistent at charging her super in this meta, but she's still strong against the right brawlers. And I'll attest to this. I know that I'm not a pro, but on my free-to-play account where I have very few buffies, I have been playing Tara a lot in gem grab because it's the one play that I know that I can still save my team even if we get just overpowered just with one good super, but you gotta make it count. Melody is staying in the B tier. She's still a solid pick for heists, but she's no longer dominating the way that she once did, which I'm fine with because I've tried to make her work, man. I can't get Melody to work. Nani is staying in the B tier. She's a super strong long-range threat on open maps. That's where she thrives. Otherwise, you don't play her much. 8-Bit's actually moving from the C tier up into the B tier. He's climbing up mostly due to his damage support and good map rotation that actually favors his abilities. But yeah, only B tier. RT is moving from the C tier up into the B tier as well. His hypercharge can still be extremely powerful if he is able to charge it, but that if is a really big if. Without it, RT can struggle and is really only useful to counter specific brawlers. He's great at countering Miko in heists. Just putting that out there for you people. Stu is staying in the B tier. He remained one of the most balanced brawlers in the game. He's always pretty solid, but rarely super oppressive. You have to be pretty skilled with him, but if you can be, then he's got great, like, a lot of versatility. Sandy is staying in the B tier. Very consistent. His super still provides amazing team utility. Mandy is moving from the C tier up into the B tier. Mandy's long range control is becoming more valuable once again. And yeah, she's just pretty solid. I think that I need to start playing her more. Ollie is staying in the B tier. He remains a very playable brawler because of how strong his hypercharge is, especially in game modes where you have last minute clutches like gem grab. And also he can be pretty good in hot zone as well. But yeah, B tier. Charlie is staying in the B tier. She's a very safe tank counter, and that's where you want to play her. Pam is actually moving from the A tier down into the B tier. She's dropping a tier as her healing has become less impactful in this current meta. Tick is staying in the B tier. Still very strong on certain maps and continues to be one of the better control brawlers at just doing some good chip, but also Tick can struggle against some assassins and some other situations. You know, some other throwers do a good job of playing against Tick as well. Like Sprout, moving from the C tier up into the B tier as well. Now Sprout's going up thanks to better map rotations that favor walls and choke points, which is where Sprout can really thrive. Brock is staying in the B tier. Brock is just a very consistent, long-ranged pick. You know where he works well, you know where he doesn't work well. And Piper's right next to him in the B tier, staying in the B tier. Man, Piper and Brock, they're like always they're very frequently together in a tier list. Piper is also very strong on open maps and can punish like positioning mistakes very easily. Carl is staying in the B tier. Carl's got solid, strong mobility, consistent damage. There's just a lot of good control to Carl. He's kind of like a yeah, he's just got good value. Gale is moving from the C tier up into the B tier. Control brawlers are becoming a little bit more useful with this current meta, and Gale has a lot of good control. So that's actually why he's moving up right now, to counter specific brawler, or not necessarily specific brawlers, but like a general trend of control brawlers being more useful right now. Ash is staying in the B tier. He remains a strong tank option with the right support. And so you want to play him with the right teammates that can help keep him alive while he's taking damage, which ramps up his rage bar. Allie is staying in the B tier. She's very powerful on maps that are designed for her, right? Maps with lots of bushes, maps with lots of walls. On those maps, there's very little you can do if an Allie's on top of you because she just hops so quickly. Barley is staying in the B tier. He's still a very strong thrower in the right conditions, and otherwise you don't want to play him. So just play him in the right places. That's why he's in B tier. Dynamite's actually moving up from the C tier up into the B tier. This is thanks to his high damage potential and very strong gadget plays. Obviously, that gadget's just broken. The one that stuns people, by the way, that's the better gadget for Dynamite. Barley is staying in the B tier. We got 3 throwers right in a row. Did I just say Barley? I meant Barry. Sorry. Did I say Barry? I don't know. Anyway, Barry remains a very reliable healer option while also giving that good thrower utility. So he's pretty excellent. Buster is staying in the B tier. He's solid, not dominant. You play him in the right situations. A skilled Buster is really formidable. Janet is staying in the B tier. She's continued to be a safe, flexible pick, so she's great. Sorry, I know I'm not saying a whole lot for some of these brawlers, but a lot of them are just staying where they're at because not much has changed for them. No balance changes, no real massive meta shifts that impact them. Gus is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. I'm actually surprised by this one, but it does make sense because right now support brawlers are becoming a little bit less essential, and Gus is a really quite excellent support brawler. So you'd still play him in heist and bounty bounty and knockout, but otherwise probably not as versatile as he used to be. B is staying in the B tier. She's very consistent, she's reliable on open maps, and otherwise you don't typically want to play her. Belle is staying in the B tier. Now, Belle actually received a few buffs, and she's another brawler on this list that might not be getting the credit that she deserves this early in the season. So we might see her rising up a little bit, but for right now, the B tier makes sense for her. Gray is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. He's dropping slightly as the meta has shifted away from comps that benefit most from his portals. You know, tanks, stuff like that just gets really close up on people. And yeah, so he's in the B tier. Ooh, surprisingly, Poco's moving from the C tier up into the B tier. And I say surprisingly because we've talked a little bit in this video about how support brawlers are becoming a little bit less useful, and Poco is definitely a support brawler. But he's climbing up thanks to having stronger healing value in certain team comps and his anti-status gadget. So he's good at countering brawlers that stun, slow, those kinds of things. Larry and Laurie are moving from the A tier down to the B tier. Does anybody else remember when Larry and Laurie were released and they were just game-breakingly strong? I remember. And they're no longer super game-breakingly strong, and that's totally fine. Throwers are struggling a little bit overall right now, and that's another reason why Larry and Laurie are down here as well. Trunk is staying in the B tier. They're a solid, close-range option. Squeak is moving from the A tier down to the B tier, and Squeak is dropping due to overpowering aggressive brawlers at the top of the meta that can kind of close that gap, and Squeak just doesn't have the burst damage to be able to deal with them before getting taken out himself. Lou is staying in the B tier. Now, Lou received some decent buffs, but he's still only good in some situations and on the maps that he's always been good on. Okay, now we're going to talk about Nausea. Let's put her off in the B tier. I mentioned that this tier list is made by the pros. There is the exception, though, of brand new brawlers that have not been in the hands of the pros. And Nausea falls into that category, and that's why I'm ranking her, and we're putting her in the B tier. Early impressions show that she's a solid but not overpowered brawler. There's going to be some really interesting mechanics. It's interesting. Nausea, a lot of the times, at least in my experience, I have tried to manually aim with her attacks. But as I've played her more and more against bots, which aren't, you know, the greatest opponents, I have learned that just manually aiming the first attack and then letting it auto aim onto enemies is like the most consistent way for you to like hit enemies. It's just really, really strong. And manually aiming doesn't seem to be really worth it a lot of the time because she's just so good. Like the auto aim is just so good. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. She might end up being significantly stronger, though I suspect she's pretty much mostly only going to be the best in game modes like Bounty or Knockout, or game modes with maps that are very wide open. Who knows though? Being able to aim around walls might actually give her a decent advantage. Max is moving from the A tier down to the B tier. And once again, this is because of support brawlers becoming less relevant and less important. Still good, decent, just not crazy broken in the hands of like the best players in the world who make Max look like she's insane. I could never make Max look as good as the pros do. Ruffs is moving from the A tier down into the B tier. And Ruffs is falling a bit as like other support brawlers are providing more immediate value. There we go. Chester's staying in the B tier. He received some good solid buffs, and an argument could be made for putting him up in the A tier, actually. So he might be a little bit better. We'll have to wait and see. His placement will probably solidify a little bit over the next few weeks. And at the very top of the B tier, we have Willow. She continues to be one of the more useful and safer throwers, and probably the best option for like Brawl Ball. Okay, now we have the A tier brawlers. A tier brawlers are highly competitive. They're not as broken as the S tier brawlers, but you can play these A tier brawlers very well, and you know, focusing on upgrading these brawlers is actually a pretty good idea. Though we do have a lot of S tier brawlers, so I don't know, we'll see. Kicking us off, we have Mo staying in the A tier. I'm actually surprised to see this. Maybe I need to play Mo a little bit more, but a lot of the pros agree that he's very strong, very consistent in most modes, and is just an all-around great A tier brawler. Otis is staying in the A tier. Otis remains one of the best shutdown tools against aggressive brawlers in the game. It doesn't matter if somebody's using their hypercharge or whatever, just hit him with an Otis super and they become like a little puppy and you can go and pet them. But maybe don't do that because anyway, you'll die. Shelly is moving from the A tier down into the, from the S tier down to the A tier. She's dropping slightly, but is still extremely strong thanks to her buffies. She's just not as strong as when she first released and in comparison to other brawlers that have their buffies. Juju is staying in the A tier. Juju remains one of, if not the strongest thrower in the game right now. So if you're going to play a thrower, Juju seems to be the best pick overall. Byron is staying in the A tier. He continues to be one of the best healers available. I love playing him in Bounty and Knockout because you can help keep your teammates alive when they're being idiots. I think that's awesome. I definitely, at least my experience is that he deserves A tier, and I'm glad that the pros agree because that means that I don't have to stop playing Byron. Gene is staying in the A tier. Gene's game-changing super keeps him near the top, kind of like Terra, but a little bit more range is really useful for Gene. Mortis is moving from the S tier down to the A tier. Mortis received even more nerfs to his gadget this update, and it's finally enough to at least move him out of the S tier. He's no longer broken. Still very strong, though, in the hands of the right player. Amber is staying in the A tier. That actually kind of surprises me. I don't know why this surprises me. Maybe I just don't see her that often, but she's very flexible. She's difficult to counter, and you kind of have to stay out of range from her because otherwise she can just auto-aim on you and, like, guarantee some damage. Kenji is moving from the B tier up into the A tier. He's actually climbing up a tier, not because of buffs, not because of meta changes, but mostly due to a change in the map rotation. He's just really good on the competitive maps this season. Finks is staying in the A tier. Finks remains a very powerful pick in the right modes, and yeah, the pros really are able to take good advantage of Finks. Shade is staying in the A tier. He's staying strong largely due to his hypercharge, but can still be really good in a lot of situations. It's just going to be dependent on the map, and as long as there's a map with some walls, and Shade can be incredibly strong and oppressive. Cordelius is staying in the A tier. He remains a very strong counter to brawlers with strong hypercharges thanks to his Shadow Realm super. You just throw them in the Shadow Realm, and then they can't do the damage that they want to do, and that's really excellent. Kaze is staying in the A tier, and this makes me need to play Kaze more. She's so good, and she's so good. She continues to be one of the better mobility brawlers, so keep her in mind. Oh my gosh, Lily's still in the A tier. Dang it. Lily's just so annoying. I hate playing against her, but she is extremely threatening as an assassin and is almost impossible to counter. And I guess that's why she's in the A tier. I'd be fine if she got a nerf though. Meeple is moving from the A tier down, or from the S tier down into the A tier. A few more of Meeple's counters have risen in this meta, so I guess Meeple's being used a lot less. The nice thing about Meeple is that it's really easy to hit your attacks, and that makes him really strong. Okay, Bo. Bo used to be in the D tier, and he's making his way all the way up into the A tier. And it's all thanks to, you guessed it, buffies. That's right. Bo got his buffies. He's still not totally broken, but an S tier argument absolutely could be made. He's one of the best brawlers in the A tier. There are just actually quite a few brawlers in the S tier, a lot more than normal, and Bo wasn't quite good enough to make the cut. Frank is moving from the S tier down into the A tier. He actually received all kinds of nerfs, and even after all of them, he's still a very solid A tier tank. Just not crazy oppressive like he was before. Angelo is staying in the A tier. Angelo continues to dominate long-range maps and can't easily be countered, and that's really good. It takes some skill, but man, if you get good with Angelo, you're gonna get good with Angelo, obviously. Colt is moving from the S tier down into the top of the A tier. Oh, I've realized that I'm still using his old profile icon. It's hard every single time I've got to change his profile icons. I'm going to leave it for this tier list. Let me know in the comment section below if you think I should change it or if I should leave it. But yeah, Colt received a small buff to his gadget, but the change in the meta is actually more what barely moved him out of the S tier. So yeah, he's no longer in the S tier, which is kind of cool. But now we have the S tier brawlers. These ones are the excellent ones. They're so good. You should max them out. If you could choose to buy all of their buffies, that would be cool. Yeah, S tier brawlers are just really excellent. Kicking us off at the bottom of the S tier, staying in the S tier, is Mina. Mina has incredible mobility, which allows her to remain one of the strongest brawlers in the entire game. She's not as easy to play as she used to. And this is coming from somebody who has kind of dropped Griff as his main and has kind of made Mina my main. You actually have to use your brain while playing her. We'll say that. You didn't used to. But yeah, she's in a good place. Still feels really strong in my opinion, and I'm glad that the pros agree. Pierce is actually moving from the A tier up into the S tier. Pierce has had a little bit of a learning curve to get used to, but now that people have figured him out, he's still an S tier brawler. Even after getting some nerfs this update, he is a very high skilled sniper. And I think it's actually really impressive that he's up in the S tier, considering most of the S tier brawlers do have buffies. This next one, well, historically would surprise you, but anybody who's like actively playing now will not be surprised by this at all. Rico is moving from the B tier all the way up into the S tier without his buffies. He made a massive jump due to his main attack rework. So now his projectiles are fired quicker and sooner, so you're more likely to get a lot of damage out of them. And it has been incredibly useful for Rico. Okay, what do I call this brawler? Glowbird / Glowy is moving from the D tier all the way up into the S tier. Oh, Glowbird received some buffs before he got released, and those buffs were actually pretty excellent for him. He's actually pretty broken now and will be even stronger once his hypercharge is released, which at the time of recording right now has not happened yet. So he's going to be even stronger. Ems is staying in the S tier. Is anyone surprised about that? I'm not surprised about that. She received a few nerfs to her buffies, but her buffies are still making her S tier. She's so strong. She's so easy to play. She's so annoying. Leon has moved from the C tier up into the S tier. Leon received his buffies this update, and they have made all of the difference for him. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. Spike is staying in the S tier. Spike was also very heavily nerfed after he received his buffies, but he's still hanging out in the S tier just like most of the buffied brawlers. BB is moving from the B tier all the way up into the S tier. BB's recent buffies instantly made her one of, if not the best brawler in the game. Then she had some emergency nerfs, and she's no longer the absolute best, most likely, but some will argue her as the best brawler in the game. There were enough pros that played her after she got some nerfs that said that she's no longer the best, but there were also a bunch of other pros that still listed her in the top 3. So we're going to give her top 4 position. But now we have the top 3 brawlers in the meta, according to the pros. Top 3 is Crow, moving from the A tier up into the S tier. Crow's buffies have probably made him the safest option in the game right now. You still have to be smart when playing with Crow. You don't have, like, you can't just be brainless while you're playing him, but if you're not brainless, Crow will give you great value. Bull is coming in as number 2. He is moving from the B tier up into the number 2 position in the S tier. Bull's buffies might not be the strongest in this update, and while he's still counterable, it basically like takes an entire team comp to do it. So like you pick Bull as first pick, and then the enemy team has to pick 3 brawlers that play well against him. It's just how strong a good Bull can be right now. But the absolute best brawler in the game right now, voted by the pros, is Sirius. That's right. Sirius is kicking off his debut as the strongest brawler in the game. He is broken. His hypercharge recently made him even more broken, so you can expect some nerfs soon. At least I think we should be seeing some nerfs. It would be crazy if we didn't see some nerfs. So play Broken Sirius right now while you can, because it will not last long. I don't think so. And there you have it. Every brawler ranked from worst to best after this last update. Make sure you grab those screenshots, but don't crop my face out if you're going to share it anywhere. Thank you very much. And a huge thank you once again to all the pros that helped make this tier list. There were fewer pros this time. That had more to do with me being super busy and not having time to be able to reach out to a ton of them. So I just appreciate them so much for taking the time to help out. And I will do better in the future to reach out to even more pros. Now, I want to know, because I know some people in that comment section who are not pros think that they know better than the pros, even though they're not pros. No, seriously though, let me know which placements you disagree with. And that's totally fine if you disagree, especially because the meta that you play is very likely different than the super competitive meta that the pros do. And I want to know which brawlers you think should be placed differently based off of where you're at. So yeah, let me know. And of course, subscribe for future tier lists. We've done 50 of them. We're going to do 50 more, probably, most likely. Check out these other 2 videos that YouTube thinks that you should watch, and we'll see you in the next video.